We are back with the Premier League Game Week 3 predictions. As per usual, in this video we'll be going over all the matches, predict them and speak about them more in depth. So we have some huge matches in this upcoming game week. Liverpool versus Arsenal is one of them. Then we have Tottenham versus Bournemouth. So those two are definitely ones to look out for. And let's not yap anymore. Let's get straight into the video. Hopefully you do enjoy. And yeah, let's go. We have Chelsea versus Fulham. First of all, this game I could see being pretty tight. So let's get started with Chelsea. I'll be honest, they have started the season not too bad so far. Right now, they're sitting in like 4th place with 2 games played so far in the season. Last game they played West Ham and they smoked them. They won that game 5-1. Chelsea were dominating them like crazy. Palmer did not play though, as he got injured pre-match. João Pedro getting a goal. That's a incredible signing for Chelsea. Getting a goal on his second game in a Chelsea shirt. Then Estevao getting 2 assists on his debut is absolutely crazy. People were saying that he could be on the level of Lamine Yamal. Now that's quite a statement to make. Now this Chelsea team, they still need a little bit of time to just gel with each other, all these new signings, but I think once they do, they're gonna absolutely cook. On to Fulham. They've started the season alright, getting 2 draws, which has them unbeaten. Last game they played Manchester United and they struggled in the first half, but second half they did a lot better. I think Fulham deserved to win that game. It ended 1-1 between those two, but Emile Smith-Rowe came on and he scored for Fulham. The former Arsenal star boy has scored against Manchester United, but hopefully we see him do well this season at Fulham. Honestly, I could see Fulham being a very underrated team this season. Now my prediction is going to be a 1-1 draw between the two. Wolves versus Everton. This game's gonna be a very interesting one. So let's get started with Wolves. They have started the season horribly. Currently sitting in 19th place in the league. So yikes, that's not looking good. Last game they played Bournemouth, they lost 1-0. And they have lost Cunha and Ait-Nouri this summer. Cunha going to Manchester United, Ait-Nouri going to Manchester City. Now those two are key players in the team. Now they gotta figure out a way to play well as a team together and get the results at the same time. Now with Vitor Pereira, I believe they could get the results and play well at the same time. Now onto Everton. They have started this season not too bad, currently sitting in 8th place, which is good for them. David Moyes has done really well with this team ever since he came into the club. Like last game they played Brighton. Everton won that game 2-0 and they played very well. I did not expect Everton to come out of that match with a result. Now Grealish had quite a solid debut, getting 2 assists, and Grealish, I think he's gonna ball in this team. Absolutely incredible. I had Everton placing in the relegation zone, but at the moment they are looking quite good. So let's see what happens with this team, and my prediction is gonna be a 2-1 win for Everton. Moving on to Tottenham versus Bournemouth, one of the biggest games. This game should be a very good one. So with Tottenham, they have started the season very well. Currently they are sitting in 2nd place, which is solid. Last game they had a massive challenge playing Manchester City, and Spurs managed to beat Man City 2-0. Those games are always unpredictable. The Tottenham versus Man City games, you can't really predict them. It's super hard to. Richarlison, he's been in some incredible form. He's been getting goals and assists, and I don't know what Thomas Frank is doing with him, but it's fantastic. Thomas Frank has set this team up very, very well, and as I predicted in my predictions video, I could see Spurs doing very well this season. Now on to Bournemouth. They have started this season not too bad, currently sitting in 9th place. And last game they played Wolves and they won 1-0. Now this team has suffered a lot in terms of losing players. They have lost Solanke, Huijsen, Kirkej, and also Zabarni, who just went to PSG, which is crazy. Andoni Iraola still does not seem to be making excuses, and he still is getting the results. Now he's a very underrated manager, in my opinion, one of the most underrated ones in the Premier League right now. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win or Tottenham. Moving on to Manchester United versus Burnley. Surely this game goes United's way. So let's get started with Manchester United. They have started this season doing not too well. Currently sitting in 16th place, similar to last season's position. Like last game they played Fulham and it was a very interesting one. I mean, I've heard a lot of United fans starting to turn against Amorim as, I mean, they're not getting the results, and literally I saw in 29 games they have got 28 points under Amorim. That is shocking. Now he subbed on Ugarte, and instead of bringing on Mino, he brought on Ugarte. Like, what are you doing, bro? They should have lost, honestly, against Fulham, but they were lucky not to, in my opinion, and they play some clean football. Like, it's enjoyable to watch, but the results and points are what matter for Manchester United, because at the moment they're literally around the same spot that they were last season. Onto Burnley, they're doing decent this season. Currently are sat in 11th place. Their last game they played Sunderland and they beat them 2-0. That is a surprising one. I had Sunderland winning that game, but they did not. There were not many shots on target. Burnley scored 1 out of 2 of their shots on target, and Burnley had a lot better chances, especially on the counter. As we all know, Burnley are strong defensively, so offensively they need to keep it up. But my prediction is going to be a 2-2 draw between the two. Moving on to Sunderland versus Brentford. Now this game is going to be a very interesting one, so let's get started with Sunderland. They have been pretty decent so far in the Premier League, currently sitting in 7th place in the league. Now last game it was a struggle for them against Burnley. They faced each other in the Championship, but now again in the Premier League, and Sunderland, they did fall to Burnley 2-0 and they dropped points. But lots of new signings have been brought in for this Sunderland side. We gotta give them a little bit more time to develop the chemistry on the pitch. Now onto Brentford. They have started the season not too bad, currently sitting in 10th place, and last game they played Aston Villa, which was a huge test. They actually beat Aston Villa 1-0, which was a huge surprise. Goal scorer being Oitara, the new signing that they brought in from Bournemouth. Now, they were just more clinical at the end of the day, more clinical than Villa. And Henderson was playing in that game. That's quite crazy, having him back in the Premier League after him leaving Liverpool, going to Ajax, and then coming back to the Premier League. Now, my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Brentford. Moving on to Leeds United versus Newcastle. This one, it should go one way in my opinion. So let's get started with Leeds. They have started the Prem season not too bad. They are currently sat in 12th place. Now last game they played Arsenal, and yeah, that's a tough game. They got smoked 5-0. Leeds defense did look all over the place in that match, for being honest, but it was a super rough game. They got dominated and they only had 1 shot on target, but I'm sure they will bounce back in this game against Newcastle. Now onto Newcastle. So far it is a tough start to the season for them. Currently they're in 15th place. So last game they played Liverpool and they lost 3-2, but I believe it was a undeserved win for Liverpool. Newcastle were the better team, even with 10 men as well. Gordon made a very stupid tackle on VVD and he got sent off, so he's not available for this match against Leeds. But they made a comeback from 2-0 down to 2-2, but unfortunately they lost that game after Ngumoha came off the bench and he scored a last minute winner. 16 years old is absolutely wild, and he scored his first goal in the Premier League. Crazy. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-0 win for Newcastle. Moving on to Brighton versus Man City. This game should be a top quality one. So let's get started with Brighton. They've been struggling quite a bit this season, currently sitting in 18th place in the relegation zone. Last game they played Everton and that was a rough one for them. They lost 2-0. Brighton had a chance 1v1 off a mistake, but they choked it. Then they got awarded a penalty. Welbeck stepped up. He missed it. I mean, it was saved, but I was not expecting him to miss that shot. He's usually very clinical from the penalty spot. But onto Man City, they have started the season alright. Obviously not up to their standard. I would say, like, at the moment they're in 6th place in the Premier League, but last game they played Tottenham, and we all know this Man City versus Tottenham game, it's super hard to predict. Like, these two teams, one team wins like one game, the next time Tottenham wins, then it's just all over the place. They actually lost against Tottenham 2-0. Those games, the players are always so passionate. Like, City did have loads of chances, they just couldn't put them away. Tottenham got them in transition and off a mistake from Trafford as well. For his mistake for the second goal, I believe he passed it in the middle to a player who was being pressed from behind. The player just got it past to Richarlison, and yeah, they just got to go from there. And I'm sure Man City will bounce back after that loss, and I think in this game they will win, and Man City will win that game 2-1. Moving on to Nottingham Forest versus West Ham. This game should be, I think it's only gonna go one way. So let's get started with Nottingham Forest. They have started off the season quite well, sitting in 5th place at the moment, which is pretty solid if we're being honest. Now, last game they played Crystal Palace and they drew 1-1. It was bound to be a fairly even game and a tough one because Hudson-Odoi getting on the score sheet for Forest. But we do got some news that the ownership is falling out with Espirito Santo, which could lead them to sacking him and getting someone else, which is quite crazy. He's been doing well at the club, but when stuff happens like this, yeah, we could see him leaving the club. Now onto West Ham. They have started the season horribly. They're dead last in 20th place, 2 games into the season. That's a big yikes. Like, last game they played Chelsea, they got smoked up. Chelsea smoked them up 5-1, which is wild to see on the second game of the season. And I feel like this team for West Ham, it might be a little bit outdated, you could say, but they have had the same players for multiple seasons, multiple years as well. So change needs to happen at the club, but otherwise the manager could go. We could also see Paqueta leaving the club potentially this summer as well. So my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Nottingham Forest. Moving on to Liverpool versus Arsenal. This game, hands down, is the best game this week. It's going to be a very good one, so I can't wait. So let's get started with Liverpool. They have been doing pretty well this season so far. The results have been good, but playing wise, they've struggled a little bit. Like, last game they played Newcastle, they won 3-2, but they were 2-0 up, but Newcastle came back to 2-2, but last minute, Moha, the 16-year-old, scored, and he won the game for them. Quite crazy, scoring his first Premier League goal as well. But on the defensive end of Liverpool, they do look quite shaky. I'm not gonna lie, Konate does seem to be a little bit off, and Kirkic is kind of struggling as well. He's not really settled in too well in terms of playing wise. Onto Arsenal, they have started this season quite well so far. Currently, Arsenal are in 1st place with 2 games played so far. Now, this game against Liverpool is going to be a huge test for Arsenal. Last game, Arsenal played Leeds United and they smoked them 5-0. Gyökeres is finally getting his first goal for Arsenal, so he got a brace in that match, so that's massive for his confidence. Saka getting on the score sheet as well, which is great. Just the unfortunate news is that Saka and Odegaard will be out for this game, which really sucks if we're being honest. Saka is reportedly out for like 3 weeks, and that gives Madueke a chance to play on the right wing, and Eze will most likely make his debut through the middle in that number 8 position. So my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win or Arsenal. Moving on to the last and final game, we have Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Now this game is going to be, I think, a solid one. So let's get started with Aston Villa. They have started the season horribly. They drew their first game and they lost their last game. Now their last game they played against Brentford. They lost that game 1-0. Stats wise, I would say Villa were the better team, but Brentford had better chances. Villa's 2 shots that they had on target were quite weak ones coming from outside the box, and the keeper was easily saving those 2 shots. Now Villa, having such a strong team, should be doing a lot better, especially having a Watkins who was amongst the top scorers in the league a few seasons ago, and Ezri Konsa will be missing the game as he received a red card in the last match as well. So on to Crystal Palace. This team has really been on the up recently. Like, the season, they have started not too bad, if we're being honest, currently sitting in 14th place, which is okay considering they drew against Forest and Chelsea as well. They've lost another key player though in Eze to Arsenal, which is quite painful for them, but I think they will manage without Eze. The last game they played Nottingham Forest and they drew 1-1. Ismaila Sarr scoring for them again in this match. What a unreal signing. He has been unbelievable. I've seen him score in multiple big occasions and he just steps up when you need him, and what a unreal signing he has been. Palace played quite well in that match and I think they're a very underrated team. We definitely need to keep an eye on them because they're only gonna get better. Now my prediction is gonna be a 1-0 win for Crystal Palace. Now thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Don't forget to drop a like, comment down below your predictions for these games and I will check them out, and don't forget to subscribe as well if you did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.